Jeremey Kushnier, welcome to Berg Vivant. Welcome to Pittsburgh.
Thank you so much.
From Canada by way of Broadway.
Yeah, it was a circuitous route, but whatever.
It often is. So you are from Canada originally.
Originally from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
What goes on up there aside from snow?
Staying warm.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's a lot of staying warm. No, Winnipeg's got a great theatrical community. It's got a great music community. The Guess Who is from Winnipeg, American woman. Who else? Neil Young was in Winnipeg for a while. There's There's a lot of pretty famous people from Winnipeg. Winnipeg's actually very similar to Pittsburgh. I feel very at home here. Yeah, in the way that this theater community is really strong here. It's amazing to be in this neighborhood and to see so much going on and so much support for the arts. And
I think one of the things that you're most notable for is originating the role of Ren McCormack in Footloose, the musical.
Yes.
Now, how did that come about?
It's a kind of a long story, but the short version of it is I was out of work in Toronto and I got a call from my agent saying that if you can be in New York tomorrow, I've got an audition for you for this workshop of this new show. So I scrounged together some money and I got it. There's a Greyhound bus that leaves Toronto at 11 o'clock at night and arrives in New York at 11 o'clock in the morning. Went, had the audition, stayed over the next night, booked the show, came back, and then sort of the rest is history. But
it is.
Yeah, being on a 12-hour bus ride in the middle of summer, a Greyhound bus ride. I mean, nothing against Greyhound. But.
Of course. There are high schools doing that musical now.
Yeah.
It's come to that point.
Yeah, there are 30-year-olds that come up to me and say, that was the first show I ever saw when I was in high school.
Wow. Now, do you ever have a desire to maybe go to a high school performance of it and freak people out?
I actually went to one last year. The Catherine Cox, who played my mother in the show, she was friends with a woman that runs a school in New York, a private school in New York, and they were doing the show, and they called me up and they said, would you come and be sort of a surprise guest on opening night? I was like, sure, that sounds like fun. Went and saw the show and got to talk to the cast afterwards, and it was amazing. And to sit with the two of us, it had been probably about 15 years since,
wow.
16 years since we had done the show.
You're right. I forget that.
It's 18
God,
now,
where's the time gone? And then Jersey Boys, another big credit of yours.
Jersey Boys. I did a lot of companies at Jersey Boys. Started in the Chicago company and went to the Las Vegas company, and then did the tour for a little bit, and then did the Toronto company, and then finally made it back to Broadway and did it there for a little while. It's an incredible show. It's funny. Tommy DeVito in Jersey Boys is actually, in a lot of ways, really similar to the part that I'm playing, just without the music. But it's very sort of a little bit the bad guy, but also the whole idea of bringing the audience in, breaking that fourth wall, and making the audience an unwitting, accomplice in what's going on in the show is sort of similar to what we were doing there.
Right, so you will be playing Iago in the Public's production of Othello.
So far. No one. My code still works at the stage door. My key still works at the housing.
Well,
so I know that I'm still.
We're going to release this interview very quickly so that it's relevant and current. From Ren McCormack in Footloose to Jersey Boys, what do you think was the reason that Ted Pappas said, yes, my God, this is the guy that I need to play one of Shakespeare's most nefarious villains?
I don't know. I mean, I found out that Ted was doing. One of the reasons that I'm here is actually because of Tegel, who's playing Othello. Mm. A good friend of mine in New York taught Tegel back at NYU. His name is Joseph Saravo, and he said, Jeremey, a buddy of mine is playing Othello. I think you should go out and audition for Iago. And at this point, I don't get a lot of opportunities to do Shakespeare. I don't get a lot of opportunities. As soon as somebody finds out you can do something, they sort of keep you in that box. Mm.
Now, would it be difficult if you were kept in a Shakespeare box?
I think,
would that be?
I don't know if it'd be difficult. It's an amazing, the amount of it, the enjoyment that I get out of doing Shakespeare is incredible. But there's a real similarity, there's a real musicality that really lends itself to doing Shakespeare. So I don't know, I just worked my ass off for this audition. I really, really decided that this was something I really wanted to do. I went and worked with my buddy and we broke this character down and really, I made this was something that I was gonna do. So I walked into that audition with the idea that I was gonna show Ted that there was every reason in the world why I should play this role, because on paper there isn't necessarily. Even my agents, when I first brought it to them, they were like, you want to play Iago in Othello? Is it a musical? Is there a musical version?
Now that would be a concept.
Yes.
Iago a Go-Go.
There is an Othello musical out there. So there was a movie. God. It was called Catch My Soul, and I found it. You can find it on YouTube. I always feel like, you know, regardless of how much of a villain you're playing, you have to approach it as a person. You got to, you know, the guy who's the villain never thinks he's the villain. This might be one of the cases that's not actually the case. I mean, Iago, his darkness is something that he actually revels in. There's I think a lot of it comes out of jealousy and you know, that's a huge theme in the piece, which is another reason why I think that the play stands up and why there's so many versions of it, you know, pop culture versions of this piece. But as far as Iago goes, yeah, he playing this just really innately sociopathic, evil.
Sociopathic is a good word for it.
And I mean, a lot of people would heartily disagree that, but from an outward standpoint, I mean, the guy's one of the original sociopaths. I mean, his complete utter disregard for anyone other than himself is amazing. But he's also an artist. He really finds, Iago, really find that you know, it's Ted and I talked about it today a lot. There's just in the way that he's manipulates these people around him, there he really sees an art in it. He really goes like, I'm not only going to really mess these people up, but I'm going to do it better than anybody else, and I'm going to make this my pièce de résistance. This is my art. You might not understand my art, you might not get my art, but this is my art.
But don't you do a lot more than this? And I think maybe a lot of folks might not know this. You have a music career. I mean, aside from musical theater.
I try to. Yeah, I write music. I have a couple of albums of my own, all stuff that I've written, which I'm really excited about. But I'm actually really excited about. There's I have a new band that I put together that it's a bunch of actors. So you know, getting us together is like herding cats.
A band made up of a bunch of actors.
Yeah.
Like the Monkees, kind of.
Kind of like the Monkees.
Yeah.
They're actually, the rest of my band is a lot like the Monkees. No, I'm the old guy of the band. I'm kind of the grandpa of the band. What I found was if you find a bunch of really cool 20 and 30-year-olds, they'll do it for free. Oh. I know. I've been making mistakes.
I need some interns on Berg Vivant.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. No, these guys. Right now the name of the band is Canadian White Bread, and we're just in the process. We've got a bunch of songs.
What was the inspiration for that title? That band.
I opened up my fridge one day, and my brother had been shopping at Trader Joe's. It's another place that I've frequented here several times now. But my brother had been to Trader Joe's, and I opened up the door, and there in the door was this loaf of bread. And it said on the side, Canadian White Bread. And I called my boys in the band and I said, I found the name.
Eureka!
Eureka. I found the name.
But, you know, I have listened to a couple tracks from your albums. You have 2 solo albums or 2 under your name, under your title. Pretty good stuff. I think one of the tracks was featured on One Tree Hill. Is that correct?
Yes. A good friend of mine was a writer on One Tree Hill. So I was living out in Los Angeles and he said, you know, I can get your music to the music supervisor if you want. I was like, sure. So they, you know, I called up all my friends and we watched and we were like, oh, there, it's in the background. And it's done. Great. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It's exciting, you know.
So where can we find it? iTunes?
You can find my stuff on iTunes. One of the albums is called In Time. The other one is just self-titled Jeremey Kushnier. But if you go to jeremykushnier.com, that's my website. It'll point you in the right direction. But yeah, iTunes, you'll find me there.
Ted Pappas will not come on this show.
I've heard. He says terrible things about
Now, to be fair, I haven't actually asked him.
Oh, well, that might be why.
So, yeah.
The charcuterie plate was... I will go back for that, for sure.
I love that word.
Charcuterie.
Yes.
I just keep saying it. I don't even know what it is.
I think it's like little sliced dried meats, isn't it? Like prosciutto and pepperoni and hard salami and maybe
some little baby pickles.
Right.
It's the weirdest name for a band that I could find. I also have I've got 2 daughters. I've got a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I asked them, I said, you guys can name the band too. And Pretty Pretty Princess didn't go over as well.
Really? Come on.
Yeah. So we had
that might limit your gigs, yeah.
Well, you never know. You know,
and it would open you up to others, I think.
It really might. It's not... Maybe it's more reductive when
some of your fans out there, they're honking.
I know. I just am trying to be a normal person. I just want to go to the CVS and get my toilet. Just leave me alone.
At least give them the number 3 pose, so they're you know. How do you think Shakespeare's doing today in America?
I mean, I don't think he's well. He's been dead for a minute.